Welcome to the 2015 Humans to Mars Summit. Very excited this year. We have a spectacular lineup. But before we start the program and bring Artemis up to give her opening remarks and to introduce our opening speaker, I first wanted to thank our sponsors. Of course, we want to thank our platinum sponsor, Boeing, gold sponsor, Lockheed, Aerojet Rocketdyne and Thales Alenia for their silver sponsorships, Orbital ATK for bronze, Space News is our media sponsor, Mars World as the sponsor, a supporter sponsor, and for the Buzz Evening event this evening, Stringer Gafarian Technologies is sponsoring that as well. Thank you to Wingo for the STEM education sponsor. We have a lot of students coming into this today as well as STEM educators, so they help support that. Thank you to Endeavorist, who supported our film screening last night. For those of you who were there last night, it was a great event. Also want to thank MDA, N-Science, SpaceX, Ardbeg Scotch, our first Scotch sponsor for H2M. We actually have two liquor sponsors this year, also Olson Wine Vineyards, Greg Olson's company. Yeah, we also particularly want to thank our nonprofit sponsor, Space Policy Institute, for co-hosting this event. Thank you very much. We could not have done this without you. Also thank you to NIA, who's webcasting this. They've done a remarkable job at also publicizing and webcasting. Space Foundation, the Planetary Society, National Society of Black Engineers, American Astronautical Society, Yuri's Night, Science Fiction Writers Association, STEM Education Coalition, ISU, International Space University, National Geographic, AIAA, and Sigma, which is a think tank for science fiction writers. So thank you all. As you notice, it's probably more sponsors than we've ever had for this event, so thank you very much. A couple of announcements before we get going. For those of you who might be interested in the lunch tomorrow, which will be in the City View room, with Greg Olson, the private astronaut, as a speaker, we still have tickets available, so if you want to register for that, or for the reception tomorrow night in the Sun Trust building, where we have a Scotch tasting as well, and that's in the Sun Trust building, you can register back in the corner where Debbie Cohen's sitting. Remember also, we have an event this evening with Buzz Aldrin. Andy Aldrin, his son, will be interviewing. It'll be a really great event. We actually have, I believe, 300 Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts coming to that event as well, so it should be a really interesting crowd. So I hope you'll all be able to come to that. We also have a couple of things at the end of the conference. We have a briefing on the Hill to talk about the Mars report, which we announced today and you have in your folder. You're welcome to come to that, so let us know, and there's also registration online, and we also need help. We're going to be distributing a copy of that report to every member of Congress. So if anybody's interested in helping us distribute the reports to members of Congress on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning, let us know, or email us at info@ExploreMars. We'd love to have you come up and help us get up there. We have a really impressive list of people watching online. We have over 2,000 schools watching the webcast throughout the conference. That amounts to well over 100,000 students, just students watching the conference. We also have between 750 and 800 attendees that are coming at some point during this conference as well. So very happy about how we've done. We have only one schedule change. We have in your printed schedule, it's listed at 12:30 that we might have a Hollywood person representing The Martian talking. That person canceled, so unfortunately we will not have that speaker, so we'll be starting lunch at 12:30 today, and at which point we will be having a book signing by Mark Kaufman. He'll be signing his book, Mars Up Close, so that'll take place right outside in the lobby starting at 12:30. You should have all received one of these Occupy Mars hats, so if you haven't, please pick one up. A quick thing, we have Wi-Fi. It's, you should have seen the instruction here, and I think they're in your folders as well to get online. And when we do Q&A, as you notice, we have a very tight schedule today, so we may not have time for a lot of Q&A, but when we do, we're going to have people walking around with microphones. So we won't have the stand mics this time. We'll just be handing them out to the people if you raise your hand. So without further ado, I want to bring on Artemis Westenberg, the president of Explore Mars.
Charles here?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Do I stay up? Nope. Well, if that's the worst that happens to us, we will probably survive, right? Well, no way how to do this. Okay, great. Okay, after this small snafu, we can start. Welcome. The Humans to Mars Summit, about 2015. Welcome. Hey, you do know you're all distinguished guests, right? I mean, I won't say this is more distinguished than that, because we all know that we need everyone to get us to Mars. It's that type of hard endeavor. Of course, also welcome to all the viewers from all across our lovely globe. Thank you for joining us. Today, it's the 5th of May, and for me that means 17 years ago today, for my country, the Netherlands, the Second World War ended. But with your help, I would like to make this day memorable for another reason. I take it you all have electronic calendars. I mean, it's 2015, you probably do. Could you take them out, please? Because I would like you to take note these dates. 6th of October 2033, or 25th of December 2035. On one of these dates, or both, humans will set foot on Mars. That's why we're here today. That's what we're all working for. In front of me, I see the crème de la crème of space protagonists. The very best our planet has where planning human spaceflight and planetary exploration is concerned. Therefore, I am confident that over the next 3 days, you will work to have us make those dates. And today, the 5th of May 2050, you got us on our way to Mars. Now, I hope that Charles Bolden has arrived. Okay, which means that I now do a tap dance number, no? I'm afraid I wasn't trained to do that. I'm trained in many things, but not in that. While Chris is trying to get our next distinguished guest, I think I would like to tell you that after 5 years of doing Mars exploration in Explore Mars, it has been a momentous ride for us, all of us at Explore Mars. And a bit later, I know we have a surprise for you of one of the first projects we did. Do you know what it was, the first project? It was asking whether the International Space Station could be used to further human spaceflight to Mars, to train or to test and use the ISS for us. And as you know, the answer to that, yes, it can. And so Scott Kelly is at the ISS together with his Russian counterpart. I think he's Padalka is his name, of the cosmonaut. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And they are doing this 1-year stint in space to test, you know, a lot of other things that we have been testing about zero gravity, microgravity, health of humans, and of course, besides all that, we all need to test also, is our life support systems, is it robust enough to sustain us for a year without having to order spare parts from Earth? That's not exactly what they're testing right now, but it is something we're going to be testing in the next few years. No Charles yet? Questions? By the way, if I were a PR person, I would go for that date. Isn't that wondrous to say for the rest of human history that the first time humans were landing on Mars, it was Christmas, 2035? I mean, it will be like, the Apollo flight that was at the moon in Christmas. That was in 1968, I think? Or am I incorrect here?
Good morning. It was 1969 when we landed on the moon.
That's true, but not when we circled it.
Oh, we circled in 68, yes.
Yes.
So you mentioned 2033, and I wanted to ask what that date was. You talked about the people first step on Mars in 2035. What happens in 2033?
Well, the thing is, every 15 years, as many of us know, Mars is closer to Earth in its opposition than in its closest approach than it is in the other intermediate years between. So it's 2003 when it was closer to us than it had been in 56,000 years. That means, get your mind around this, wrap your mind around this, that the last time Mars had been that close to Earth, Neanderthals were still roaming the Earth and sharing the Earth with us, Homo sapiens. So in 2018, Mars will again be pretty close, and so also in 2033. But the lucky circumstance is that in 2035, Mars will actually be closer, and I just noticed that my next guest walked in. Great. Let's continue with the program. Did this answer your question? Recently, we of Explore Mars agreed that getting us to Mars would need staying the course set by Congress, seen there as seen here, and not screwing up. When we were discussing this, stay the course and don't screw up, I had no idea that if I would look into the history of Charles Bolden, our next speaker, that over the last 50 years, he has great experience in doing just that. Charles started doing that when he was in 9th grade. He kept pursuing his dream of going to the Naval Academy, and and year after year, so from 9th grade on, he kept writing his senator, his congressman, and the vice president, and by doing that, by staying the course and not screwing up, Charles got himself into academy at Annapolis. And kudos for that. And the perseverance and dedication that Charles showed in doing that is, of course, also the same perseverance and dedication that will allow us to forge our future in Mars. Knowing that about this man, a space shuttle pilot, among many other things, you can trust him to fight for his future, our future, and in space. I'm therefore extremely happy to again give Charles Bolden, NASA's administrator, the floor, for I'm certain he will stay the course and will do his utmost to not screw up.
Thanks very much. And I apologize for being so late.
That's fine.